Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Toki Tori. I am Mega400, and last time when we left off, Toki Tori made an omelet, which really wasn't even, as some people pointed out, it wasn't even an omelet. It was, I think, scrambled eggs, not even that. Anyway, now this time we're going to do the hard levels. We're going to finish, actually do all of the levels for Forest Falls, all the hard levels that is, and also start on the levels for QB Castle. The hard levels are, again, they're fairly difficult, but for each level, like of course, the hard levels for Forest Falls are fairly easy compared to Bubble Barrage because it's just like the levels in the regular levels they get progressively harder as you go on. But that's kind of common sense actually. These aren't too bad though. Actually, the ones for Forest Falls, they're pretty easy to figure out. At least I think so. Yeah. I'm gonna start off by talking about, let's see, South Park. Now, I'm a big fan of South Park. I watch South Park about every week. Whenever I have, sometimes I haven't had a chance to watch it, so I, watch it, like, quite later. But I try and watch it, every single episode. They recently had their 200th episode. And now, if you know anything behind this whole thing is, in the 200th episode, they had a whole plot line based around Muhammad, who is the prophet of the Islamic religion. And they were basically, the whole thing was the fact that they can't show him because of threats, or not necessarily threats, but because it's offensive against the Islamic religion, because of, I can't remember the exact specifics, but something that happened previously with the Islamic extremists and terrorists, they're Islamic extremists. Anyway, because of that, they weren't able to, they had originally showed them in a previous episode, the Super Best Friends, and then since then they haven't been able to show them. So they were, because the 200th episode was showing basically all previous past things about South Park, that was one of the things they, picked up on, that, plot line. Anyway, they didn't show him during the 200th episode, but they put him in a bear suit, which if you watch the second one, you'll know that it technically wasn't him in the bear suit. A group, I can't remember their exact name, but they're based in New York City, but it's some Islamic extremist group. They basically posted something saying that what they did was stupid. They were offended that they put the prophet in a bear suit, even though again I thought the main thing was the fact that you couldn't show him. They didn't show him, and then you get upset because he's in a bear suit. They really weren't even making fun of Muhammad. They were making fun of the whole situation behind it, not Muhammad himself. Anyway, then they posted a picture of someone who was also murdered. And basically, they basically threatened Trey and Matt, the creators of South Park, and they're like, "No, we didn't threaten them. We just said that this will happen to them if they keep doing what they're doing. We're not threatening them. We're just implying that this most likely will happen." But that's been pulled by so many people before. You're indirectly threatening them. Maybe you're not specifically threatening them, but you're encouraging violence by doing that. So yeah, that's a threat. I'm sorry. But anyway, so the point I'm getting to through this whole thing is during the 201st episode, Comedy Central added additional audio bleeps, bleeping out all references of Muhammad's name, and the monologues at the end that weren't even. This is what annoys me more. I mean, I'm a little annoyed about the whole bleeping of his name thing, but people have already. I've seen plenty of people argue that point. Jon Stewart did on The Daily Show, other people have, and that's, is it offensive to show images and of it? Maybe, but the thing is, the way that the extremists are going about it is just horribly, just wrong. You don't threaten someone because of free speech. So, anyway, but the thing that really annoys me is the ending part. The monologues were bleeped out when they weren't supposed to, and like I wasn't sure if there was some kind of joke in it. And no, it wasn't. It was bleeped out, and they didn't mention him at all. They didn't mention Muhammad's name. They mentioned it was about fear. I think it was fear and intimidation. Basically, was what it was about. It was about exactly what Comedy Central was giving into. They were basically the thing that I think of, and again, it's not. Keep in mind, it's not exactly the. It's the best example I can think of, but it's not even close to being the same situation. It has some of the same parallels, but keep in mind the situation I'm about to mention don't. It's not that I don't realize the gravity of the situation. I'm just saying that there's some parallels. It's not exactly a fair comparison. So anyway, they're basically appeasing Islamic extremists, saying, okay, we won't show this. We'll just basically ruin the entire show because you don't want it. We're basically going to give in to these threats. It has some parallels to the appeasement that was given to Adolf Hitler before World War II. And everyone knows how that turned out. Appeasement didn't work. It wasn't a successful endeavor to go into. Now, I'm not saying, again, this isn't the exact same thing. It's basically Hitler was trying to get more countries, and Britain and France gave in to him. Well, no, actually, France, I believe, was actually against it. Britain gave in to him. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. What I remember from history class, though, was that the French were against it and the British weren't. But anyway, either way, they gave in to him and let him have a few countries to appease him, and said, okay, we'll give him a little bit and then he will stop. Basically, kind of the same thing kind of is going on in the fact that, not really. I mean, it's the best example I can come up with, but we'll take this out. Oh, you want more out? Well, appeasement doesn't work. I mean, it works maybe with some people, but in this kind of situation, when there's someone who is threatening you, that appeasement doesn't work. You don't appease them. And, I mean, I don't know what exactly point I'm just trying to make, but I'm just saying, it's just wrong on so many levels. I mean, South Park has been known to criticize. I mean, honestly, what they did for Muhammad is very, very tame compared to what they've done to other people. And a lot of people consider South Park actually appearing on it an honor. The fact that, that they have a good sense of humor and they can laugh at themselves, and the fact that, okay, I'm on South Park, that means I'm, famous enough that people can criticize me. That I'm famous enough that I can actually get criticism from the makers of South Park. And yeah, I understand the whole. I guess the thing is, I understand the whole. It's offensive. It's against their religious beliefs, perhaps. But even then, you don't make death threats against someone. I mean, if you're religious, do you think that? I would say making. Well, I guess not really. I guess making death threats. I can't remember. I don't know enough about the Islam to actually debate that personally. I really should actually find out more about that, and that's something I really should. I signed up. One of the classes I've signed up for next year for college is Religions of the World, which will be an interesting class. I'm not personally religious, but I will be an interesting class just for information's sake, and also for some good debates maybe. So I'm trying to find out more information. But anyway, I don't know. I just keep thinking back to the Daily Show. If you watch that, where someone, Asamavi, who is Islamic, basically said he would be offended if his image was displayed in South Park, but he's more offended by the people who are actually threatening people because of that. Because it gives other people, it gives American Islamic Americans bad name. It makes them, makes to everyone else, everyone generalizes that they're the bad guy. I mean, back when during World War II, I'm sure there was quite a few people who, or I know there was quite a few people who said Germans equal Nazis. All Germans are Nazis. That wasn't even true, and that's not true. That wasn't true. It was basically the Germans were all evil, and now that's not the case today. I mean, people don't believe that for the most part today, but that's what it was back then. They assume that just because one person, just because one group thinks something and they're part of a nationality, doesn't mean that everyone does. Just because some people who are Islamic are radicals, that doesn't mean all of them are. And that's what it kind of annoys me, that people are ignorant, or too ignorant to realize that. There's not much else to really talk about on that subject, though. So, Next time we'll continue in Creepy Castle. This has been Mega Freak 400, reminding you, chocolate is made of chocolate.